Hey friends, welcome to Stag and Pennies. Corley Joy alongside Ryan Flores. Prime week Coke 600 was an absolute hit. And you know what, guys? We have the biggest show we potentially have ever had. Because we're talking not only the Coca-Cola 600 champ himself, Ross Chastain, joins us in the studio, but following him up, three-time Cup Series championship, Joey Logano. How can we fit that much stuff into one show? Well, tune in. You're about to find out. Let's go.
Stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
It tastes like gasoline, rubber, and victory.
We're just out here stacking pennies.
All right, we're in it. What's up, guys? Hope you guys had a very good Memorial Day. Not great weather here in Charlotte, but I thank the good Lord above that we had some great weather on Sunday for prime time. What a freaking week that was, buddy. How was your week overall leading into it?
It was good. Should have won a damn race at Bowman Gray on Saturday, but got a flat tire. But yeah, I liked the prime stuff. Seemed really positive. And anytime, man, this time of year in Charlotte, from 4 to 6 o'clock p.m., there is a chance of showers no matter where you are. So it looked like it was going to rain. Thank God it didn't. But I had old Motorsports Christmas. Started it on Sunday.
Even before that, it was just a busy week overall. Obviously, we've been talking about this prime stuff for 6 months. A lot of people longer than that. But really kick off the weekend for me was that premiere of the Earnhardt doc on Prime.
Well, there was a lot of stuff going on last week.
That was a sick.
Charlotte week is crazy as far as
fan days. I went to RFK Fan Day with RWR. They had
Joey had a
top fuel dragster. Joey had his event on.
Had an event. And there was events every night. There was a bunch of stuff that we went to, and it was like Brad had an event that you couldn't go to.
Yeah. That was that same night, Thursday.
Yeah, because Leanna texted me like, "You want to go?" I'm like, "Dude, we can't get a sitter. We've used a sitter every night for the past 2 weeks. I feel like." But the Earnhardt documentary is sick.
Dude, it fired me up.
Oh yeah,
fired me up. I was talking to Junior a little bit. I talked to him more than I've ever talked to him in my life this past couple of days, and he's like, I was curious of what, because he said in his interview about what his favorite, like he said he's had his favorite documentaries telling the story about his dad. And obviously he had a hand in this one, so did NASCAR Studios and a lot of them. But that, like all the cool footage they found, all the color changes they made to make that stuff pop, like it was sick. So Dale was like, that was my favorite. I was like, what was your favorite before that? He said the Dale doc. So that was interesting. The one Ryan McGee wrote.
Well, I would hope that the Prime one was his favorite because it looked like he had quite a big hand in it too. But looking at it, man, it was crazy to see how they pulled the curtain back on it of kind of his shortcomings as a father, as a husband. His relationship with Neil, we watched it last night. Shout out Jensen, 3rd birthday.
Yesterday.
Wore out the zip line at the LaJoy house yesterday, and then at the end we were watching Earnhardt with all the kids.
Wrap up a great night.
But, like, just watching it and seeing all the footage, right? Like, that's the stuff. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Like, when we get, like, what we're going through now and the pictures we take with our kids and the stuff that we're doing, it's like, obviously we're not Earnhardt. But, like, 30 years from now, our kids will be like, man, Dad's did pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
So to have that behind-the-scene footage and, how Prime and everybody there has been able to get that footage, I can only imagine, like, guys like Higgy
10,000
hours.
10,000 hours of footage they went through.
I can only imagine. Somebody's sick of listening to Dale Earnhardt somewhere.
No doubt.
I don't want to see him again. Ever.
I can tell you who's not tired of hearing him as NASCAR fans in general, because I got to hear him for about 5 hours on Sunday night, and it seems like the feedback from that was overwhelmingly positive.
It was good. I thought it was unique. I thought it made, from what I was able to see, like we crashed out early with Zane, so I watched the end of the race on the way home, which is super, convenient to be able to just pull your phone up and listen to it on the way home. And then I got home and I got a little phone case in the shower. I got in the shower because when you're just greasy, nasty, get in the shower. Watch the end of the race in the shower. Get out, watch the post race.
You're committed, buddy. You don't want to miss a moment.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
It's on your phone. It's on demand. Higgy, I saw Higgy behind the scenes, so I wasn't really nervous. I knew that it was a big deal, that what Prime was trying to do. They're wanting to capture the sport and portray the sport as it should be, like a big deal. Sold out crowd, infield campers sold out. however many thousand, 60,000, 70,000 people showing up. And I got to the stage when we had meetings, we had all the things, but we walked out to that stage before the race, pre-race, and I was like, oh shit, like I better be on my game. And I've got my notes, and you rehearse a couple times of just what you want to say and how you want to say it. But you only see the five of us. In this instance, six, what we're watching on the screen right now with Justin Marks and Ross Chastain joining us on stage. But like, there was 240 people from NBC is one of the ones, their entire back of the house production, as well as Prime personnel, to make that happen. And then obviously Double A, Stevie, and Dale are just general fans of the sport, and they tell the story so well. But the post race seems like that's what the fans have been hungry for, and it was super cool to be part of that. I think Glory Days of NASCAR, that Trackside Live, Victory Lane show.
The pre-race was great too.
Yeah,
like that, having everybody behind you. It was loud. I could see that it took you guys kind of. You
couldn't hear what the other person was saying when I was right next to you. Because
Blaney stopped. He's like, "I'm going to let him finish."
You can't hear. It was so loud. I actually never been that close to a crowd that was that loud.
It seems like with College Game Day, like I was kind of trying to. They're up higher. You guys are the same way. Like the fans are like right here.
Yeah.
Hey,
buddy, they had the stage. They had like tents and a separate stage with all the soundboard and things and all the wires running, and they had to move it in 9 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So
why? Oh, from the time it was
because it was in the ball field, right? From the time we went all the way up to the invocation. So from the time they did taps, they did Amazing Grace, they did the pre-race show for the 600's badass every year.
Oh yeah, the best one.
So they obviously had a little bit longer runway to so then we got Denny.
Is it on a semi? Is it on a truck? How
it's
do they
on
move
a trailer. Yeah.
What do they hook it up to? Like a gator?
I don't know, F-150. I
You're
didn't watch the
there?
damn thing. They just shuffle me from one place to the next. It was really cool getting to know Carl.
Driver. I don't know. Make it work.
People were really excited to see him back.
People were excited to see Carl back. He did a really good job. You could tell that he was like trying to process what was going on, like with the racing, because it's so much different than when he did it last. And I could see a couple times. I scanned through the broadcast to like see your parts. Obviously, it's a super long broadcast, so it's hard to like rewatch the whole thing. But there was a time when you guys were in like a fan area, and he was like, I can't believe these guys are wrecking like this. This is way harder than when I did it.
We have had hour-long debates, and not debates, but just different. I've got certainly a different perspective than Carl, right? He comes in, earned it, Hall of Fame. I've come in, Doug, whatever it takes to get a ride, right? And I never really, if we wanted to get real into the weeds of it, I, in hindsight, didn't realize the value of surrounding yourself with high-level operating people, whether it's with Prime, doing TV, or with a race team. I just got in whatever I could drive, however long I could do it, and it wasn't until I got to drive the 9 at one time, seeing how a legitimate team operates, it's like, oh, I wish I'd have pushed all my chips on the table years ago to get myself to develop, to get myself around better teammates, to just push myself. I was always the single car team or with teammates that never pushed me to get better. I was always the best guy.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know, right?
His career was much different than yours trajectory-wise, but almost the same in the trenches and getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. But, my insecurity about not feeling like I've ran good enough to earn that seat, obviously he doesn't have any of that, but he has, like, insecurity about, man, I feel like I wonder if the sport's going to welcome me back. And him and I took multiple laps around the garage, went and saw Cliff before the race, went and talked to Phil Surgeon Sunday morning as well. And like the freaking garage, loves that guy, right? He's beaming. He's got the big smile on his face. Like, I'm so glad the sport has welcomed Carl back with open arms. And it's super cool to get him on the broadcast as well.
Well, I wonder if it's because he was a little bit bitter leaving. So he had a bad taste in his mouth for the sport. And when you have a bad taste in your mouth for somebody or the sport, you kind of automatically feel like they have a bad taste in their mouth for you as well.
I think he's also aware, too, of, he even addressed it in his Hall of Fame speech, which I recommend that to. I recommend two things if you really feel like digging into some Carl Edwards. Listen to his Hall of Fame speech, listen to his Dale Jr. download interview, and then watch this week Nashville, and then we'll just keep it moving, right? But like he even said, he's like, man, I had the blinders on, and I probably wasn't the best teammate. I wasn't the best friend. I wasn't the best husband, because you can't be when you are at the pointy end of the spear like that is.
And that's what like back to our point to start the show. That's exactly what the Earnhardt documentary shows too. Right? You sacrifice a lot of stuff to be that guy, and everybody just sees you in the fire suit and on Sunday and driver interest, but they don't see your kid or your family sacrificing.
Right. And a lot of people get the chance to earn that back after the career's over. It's like, okay, you make the sacrifice in time and just an emotional and mental presence away from your family, because you're all in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year of how to get better as a race car driver and get your team better, that you get that time after your career's over. A lot of people do. If your home life is somewhat still intact and you can make it work, to rebuild it.
Yeah, but Dale it's hard to,
right? His story ended.
It's also hard to cut it off. Like I've seen careers end kind of two different ways. You either just cut it off and you're gone, like Carl did, right? Or you find your different spots, or you stay relevant in certain ways, or find your niche and kind of fizzle out, or go into a different position. But when you're in Carl's situation, and a lot of old school racers are this way, where they're like, I'm done, I don't want to think about it, I don't want to talk about it, I don't even be around it. Yep. And he's been like that for 8 years now?
9. He said this was Charlotte Friday morning was the first day in 9 years he woke up at a racetrack. So
that's got to be like, there's probably a little bit of apprehension from him as well. We're like, ooh, how am I going to feel? Am I going to miss this? Did I make the right decision? Like second guessing himself, and maybe a little bit of uneasiness just in having to face that stuff again that he's probably put away, like back in the back of his mind, to like, I'm going to put that back there and I don't have to open it again. Yeah. And now I got to open it again. It's really here. How's this going to feel? How am I going to process this? And, you're able to watch that live time, but I think that's probably where a little bit of his, like, I don't know if it wasn't cold, but just a little bit of like, what thinks.
Yeah, his little insecurity. Because he's insecure about, because he doesn't really, if you look at it, he only knows like 3 drivers. Because it's not only he hasn't been to the racetrack,
nobody left.
Never watched a race. Didn't watch a race. Maybe like one a year. Doesn't even have a TV in his house. Like legitimately until last year when Amazon pursued him, the famous story of them going up there, he brings him to the jiu-jitsu, what do they call it? The dojo? I don't know.
Dojo?
That's like karate maybe. But he didn't watch a race. Like, and he might have watched only 2 or 3 races up to this, because he legitimately has to go to somebody else's house to watch a race on FS1. He doesn't have TV in his house. Doesn't have internet, nothing. Lives in a barndominium. Like, that's his deal. He's got over 1,000 acres, chilling, living his life. Folding some guy, probably selling insurance at dojo. He's got a purple belt, just works out, jiu-jitsu, hangs out with his family, plays kickball, big kickball guy. I'm going to bring him out to kickball here in the fall as well.
Hope he's good.
But so him coming back, right, it's weird for me to introduce Carl Edwards, Hall of Famer, 37-time race winner, to everybody that I've been seeing for the last 10 years of my career. It's like, hey, man, here's William Byron. Meet Carl Edwards. And he's like, oh, man, nice to meet you.
Well, he said on the broadcast, William was like almost like starstruck, where he was like, hey, it's nice to finally meet you. It was funny to see, but
that's a good-looking fella.
It's crazy to think that the garage area and I think about this often now, that we've made a living in, how many guys there's the same garage area where Jeff Gordon and Ray Abraham made a living, where Dale Earnhardt, where Tim Richmond, where all those guys, they were there in the same place
Bobby
we
Allison.
are, but it passes you by, and then you come back and there's nobody left.
Yeah, there's nobody.
And we've all been part of old school racers that are just bitter because it's passed you by. And like, he's not like that, but it's taking that long of hiatus and not seeing people leave, year after year in a wave of new people coming in and just coming back. It's got to be so crazy.
So to bring that back and put a bow on like the debate that he brought up during the first stage break is like, he wants to see, and I'm not different in him in this regard, is like, he wants to see cars up off the ground, sliding around, narrow tires, big power. Put a clip up of him and Jimmy Johnson in Atlanta, right? That's his peak version of NASCAR. and I think we all could probably agree to that. My perspective is this. It has to be told to the fans, and it also now even more so than ever has to be a visually appealing product. I had more people after the first Atlanta race, after the reconfiguration, text me about how exciting the race was than my entire career combined. So there is the balance of, do we want badass race cars, more horsepower? Yes. Less downforce? Yes. All the things. When you turn that knob up, the cars get more spread out. It's less visually appealing. So him starting to understand my point and also being less opposed to this car as he sees how it races, as he see Kyle Larson bust his ass, Tyler Reddick bust his ass, Alex Bowman bust his ass, John Hunter Nemechek, and people having tank slapper moments all day. He's like, okay, these cars are hard to drive. The margin for error now is 0, because I brought this up in the bus and we were just sitting there. I was like, the difference between a 90, I was like, Carl, remember when you just went out for practice and you would lay like a 95% lap down? He's like, yeah, it'd be 5th. I said, now you'd be 25th. That's just the same car.
Maybe 30th.
Maybe 30th. Like, you can't be 5% off.
The whole field's within 2/10.
You have to be 99.9% on the tire, driving the car to the exact amount of grip it can make to even be 10th, to even be, right? Because and then a guy like him with his processing speed and his ability to feel the tire, he was one of the best to ever do that. So a guy of his caliber could acclimate to this car if he came in fresh. So he sees all that and he's like, okay. It took him a stage and a half, the Coke 600, and being around, be like, okay, I see it. It's not worse. It's different, and it's harder.
Can I make a quick argument back to the initial point you made of peak NASCAR for him was him and Jimmy Johnson racing a line in Atlanta?
Hang on, can I also add to that? He
I
also
haven't
saw
said anything yet.
No, but I'm going to add to that. His version of peak NASCAR was peak popularity,
okay,
peak economy, peak
let's just talk about
attendance at the racetrack.
We're just talking about driving the race cars and competition, right? Because that's what he liked, and it was his time. Tony Stewart just made a comment recently too about how it was more important in his time, right? We all think that.
Oh yeah.
Give us today with our data, our engineers, our people, those rules, and see how bad these races are.
Absolutely terrible.
They're going to be the worst race you've ever seen in your life. Because if he came and dove into the team side of it, from the last meeting he was in 9 years ago at Joe Gibbs to what it is today, his head would spin.
It would spin, but he would figure it out because he's exceptional. But
he
different.
would, but it's way. I mean, anybody that's key would figure it out. But 25 years ago, when that race, what we're talking about, 20 years ago, they were just figuring out coil binding,
right?
Just barely figuring out. Okay,
well, they didn't even know why. Down. Let's put a soft spring in this thing so where it just sits in the coils. What? It just goes faster. I really don't know why. Go to the wind tunnel. Oh, it's making more downforce.
Now the blade's in the air.
Now the blade's. Let's move this right rear quarter in. Oh, we hit on that. That was better. Yeah. Why does it do that? I don't know. Let's just
now it's thousands of an inch of toe shim. Right, so that's where the game has changed so much and substantially.
It blew his mind. It blew his mind too. We pop in the 99 one hauler before the race because Ross was my pick Saturday, and then also I just had this feeling with him up against the adversity and the lull that TrackHouse been on, but the one car is consistently manufacturer finishes all year. He's 28th ranked on speed.
He's 12th. 12 spots he finishes 12 spots better than where he starts. Yeah, on average.
Yeah, he's ranked 3rd in that with just in a lot of different metrics, but speed he's 28th, but he's 11th in points. Obviously locked in the playoffs now. I didn't see final point tally, but anyways, where was I going? We pop our head in the hauler, and I asked the question: what's the difference of if this happens at Vegas, and you have to build a backup car box stock, right? Instead of bring your backup car, they didn't even bring a backup car to the hauler. They just hey, we're gonna leave this here, chunked it. Ross said, build me the same car and just keep the air in the tires. That's all I need. They go back, they optimize it, right? They're in the Hawkeye all night long till 2:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. Hawkeye, for your suspension, maximizing the toe down to the thousandth camber shim, toe shim, and then maximizing the body and the underfloor.
Yeah.
So I asked the question, I said, what's the difference between a backup car you could throw together at the racetrack versus an optimized backup car, what you put back on the racetrack? And they said 300 to 400 pounds of downforce.
Oh.
100 pounds. They told it's about 80 to 100 counts, right? Counts is what, 2.6 pounds per count type thing. So between 250 and 300 pounds of downforce. That's the difference of Ross winning the Coke 600 and running 28th all night.
Well, yeah, that's the difference between building something at, where you work, if you work at a factory or manufacturing plant, and then trying to build that at your house garage.
Yeah, in your garage.
Right? Like that's what it's like when you're trying to, at Vegas, when you're trying to put together a car that's half-assed, right?
Yep.
And you just, and here's the other thing, which is really impressive about TrackHouse this weekend. They were already running thin as a company because they had another car running.
Right.
Right? So they're Darian and their shop foremans and all their guys are crew chiefing, car chiefing, working on the 67. So it's like, man,
87,
or the 87, and they're already running thin. So,
well, those guys need a round of applause, and we're going to be able to talk to the guy who's going to give them a round of applause. Ross Chastain, Coke 600 champs, going to join us on the show right after this break. You do not want to miss it. Hey, everybody. Did you know that May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month? Let's take a pit stop to talk about the importance of understanding the risks of developing non-melanoma skin cancers. Most people are familiar with melanoma, but non-melanoma skin cancers like basal cell carcinoma and cutaneous squamous cell carcinoma are actually much more common. In fact, they are some of the most common types of cancer in the United States. While they are often caught early, if left undetected, these cancers can spread or advance and become difficult to treat. Our sponsor, Regeneron, is revving up awareness about advanced non-melanoma skin cancers this race season with its Let's Get Real About Skin Cancer program to drive home the importance of regular skin checks. Buckle up and visit letsgetrealaboutskincancer.com to learn more and to take the pledge to see a dermatologist for an annual skin check today. Ladies and gentlemen, the driver, the number one jockey Camaro World 600 champion, Ross Chastain, joining the podcast. Hey, dude, that was badass the other night. That was freaking badass. You're holding that thing. We talked about it on the show. Just go ahead and show it off to the camera. It looks a little smaller. Is that the thing you're going to wear it on?
Can I talk? Is it okay?
Yeah. Yeah, you go open it up.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No, thank you.
I don't know. I've been switching. So the digits are a little swollen, I'll say, since the win. Everything's a little
inflamed,
puffy,
if you will.
Yeah.
Hey, rumor has it you may or may not have been going till 9 a.m. on Monday morning.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't go to sleep. Saw the sun come up. Straight to the airport. Flew to Milwaukee. Saw the Moose Lodge y'all seen on my car. Moose Fraternity. And went up there and just got back today. So. And
then you came right here to the Stag and Pennies garage, buddy.
Stopped by the shop for a little bit. Man, here. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know which finger.
Doesn't matter.
It's so heavy that I got to swap it back and forth.
Biceps getting a workout.
It feels good. And it says champion on it. You said champion. It says champion.
There's a couple races when you win them, you're the Coke 600 champion.
That's right.
Not just the winner. Which the marathon that race is, you should be the champion. And the marathon that your team went through.
All 600 miles to get there. I mean,
591 to be exact.
It was crazy to catch. We can talk about it, but catch Will with 15 to go and then not be able to get by him, and then 5 to go get by him or 6 to go. It was just holy cow. We needed the whole race.
So Saturday, your car was a rocket ship, right up to the point of impact. Left rear tire went down, driver's side, no saving it. The boys go to a backup car, work all night long, get that thing back. And I just had a feeling, I was watching you, and I feel like just the TrackHouse has been on a little bit of an uptick lately. It's been pretty clear that you guys haven't had good Saturdays, not qualifying well, tough pit stall selections, right? All that stuff just snowballs the wrong direction. But I just felt like this race plays into your strengths, which is you have been manufacturing days all year, been taking a 22nd place car average on speed, running 8th. You're 4 out of the last 6 races in the top 10. I'm like, I think this is the week. Ross breaks through. Text you on Sunday morning because I was going to hammer you on the pre-race positively. Say, hey, what do you need? So I just need the same car with all the air in the tires. And they gave it to you. So I had an eye on you all day. And when that thing was in traffic, it looked like it was hard to go. That first run, I'm like, the 77 drives, he's going forward, right?
Gone.
And I'm like, okay, he's going forward. Where's the one at? And just talk about the freaking from the drop of the green. Was the car close? Did you have to work on it a bunch or just steady progression throughout the night?
It never felt the second car, and I do caution to use the word backup. With Gen 7 going to the second car, we went and built a complete car with a chassis and a body, and we assembled it. We had to put the engine in, and then the rest was suspension, new suspension, same springs and shocks, same settings. Like I told you, we wanted the same car we had on Saturday. We did have to bias freer, knowing dirty air, and we did. And then I get in the race, and it does not feel like Saturday. We got all these cars in front of us, and I'm complaining. And then, like, at the end of the second run, which would have been the end of stage 1, I'm complaining on the radio. I'm like, it's just I don't have the front turn. It's just no response in the front wheels. And Phil Surgeon keys up real calm and goes, man, I think it's just, like, track position. Like, you just got to get up there, and then it'll be better.
Yeah, just drive harder.
That sounds easy enough.
And
just
I
pass everybody
laughed.
in front of you.
I laughed in my helmet. I didn't hit the button. I just laughed. I'm like, yeah, of course, Phil. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Of course. If I was leading, it would be better.
Hell yeah.
And but it was kind of an attitude reset. They're like, yeah, this sucks right now. But if you just keep, we had driven up, and then we caught that first green flag cycle wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to take the wave around. We'd already pitted, and we had tightened the car up for green flag pit out, not knowing the caution was going to come out. So that was a setback. But yeah, it was not good back there in traffic. And that's what's so hard is you start back there, whether you qualify back there like us. We've been qualifying in the 30s. We said we need to stop qualifying in the 30s, and we fixed that. We were in the 40s.
Got it.
Check.
What is it, though? I don't want to go down too far into the weeds here, but, like, when you say, hey, we just got to qualify better. You just don't, like, show up trying harder.
No.
Like, what are those things that you do to go try to qualify better?
I don't know. If I knew it, I'd do it.
A little bit of everything.
You know what you should
It's a little bit
You know
everywhere.
what you should do? You should get a coloring book out like John Hunter does. Seems to be. Have you seen
What?
that?
What?
You haven't seen that?
This is
Every
new to
week.
me.
John Hunter. So Travis Mack read this study that coloring takes your mind off of whatever stressor may be in front of you. And, like, kids test better after they color. Like 6 weeks ago, prior to the resurgence of the 42 car, my man's been coloring at the pit box at the hot dog cart before he gets into qualify. You know.
Come on.
So maybe that's my suggestion to you. Mickey Mouse coloring books.
Or maybe just
Try hard.
nicotine. Maybe nicotine. I would rather pick up dipping than coloring. I think
There's
it's
a
more
lot
a
of
manly
people.
thing.
So there you go. All right, we already got you 10 spots.
There you go.
Coloring books and nicotine patches.
Get you some Skull, buddy. I'll drop it off this week.
There's no NASCAR drivers in today's world that could handle Skull.
I don't think there is.
No,
they're
there's not.
more zen. More zen guys.
Yeah.
Give
They're
me zen.
looking for
No,
lip
you're
pillows,
going
they're
no.
not-
But there is one man, a watermelon farmer from Florida can get some long cut.
Those
Right
days
there.
are long behind me.
Them
I
boots say
quit
otherwise.
that a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it was a very short time that I did that. No, thank you.
No.
Nope.
All right. So what are some practical things you can qualify better with?
Yeah.
I think if we get the air pressure a little closer,
Yeah.
I think if we get our offset for one lap speed,
Mm-hmm.
balance, I think that's a whole lot better than
Listen,
me.
we're trying to help here, and now you're just being a nerd.
I don't.
I mean,
I'm happy for
stumped.
Travis that he's telling that story.
yeah. Yeah. But I digress. Let's shift back to the race. We were watching, it was Carl and I and Danielle in the motorhome, and we're, trying to figure out what we're going to talk about during our stage hits and post race and all the things. And every time I'd look up, I would point to the TV screen. I'm like, there he is.
We were
14th.
19th at the end of stage 1.
Yeah, there he is. Here it comes. Bang. 10th.
Yeah.
Bang.
Then 9th.
6th.
Then 7th.
Bang. 5th. Had a bad restart. Kind of got back in traffic. I'm like,
Classic. Get to 3rd. Use tires. Forget I'm on used tires. Choose the inside on hot tires. Went into 1. Never had a chance.
Got to the middle,
What am I thinking?
3 wide
Why
backwards.
Why did I do that?
Because
I
you
don't
didn't color before the race.
I need it in the car.
Yes. Take 4 tires and a coloring book. Hold the water.
So came out of nowhere, right? Because the broadcast, what everybody's seeing is The 11 and 24.
It was a 2-car race.
2-horse race at this point in time. They come off legitimately green flag stop, side by side off pit road. You came in 2 laps later, and
On accident.
okay,
There's a
yeah,
little story
because
there.
you
They
tell-
called me
tell a
in
story.
3. Well, they go to the bottom. I see they're going to pit, but
Yeah.
we hadn't talked about pitting yet.
Yep.
So I ripped the top.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I got some clean air finally. I was
Yeah.
like 2 seconds back, which is outside of the realm of real aerotight, but still,
a sniff.
if they're gone out of the way, I know I can push a little harder through the corner.
Yeah.
And right as I get to the wall in 3, Phil Surgeon says, "Pit if you can." I'm like, too late. I'm not braking and turning. I had a gap behind me, but I'm not. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Run another lap. And I key up off of 4, and I'm like, hey, there's a big gap to 4th. I think it was a 45 maybe last I saw. Let's run some extra laps, have a little difference. I'm not going to beat them. They've already beat us to pit road. And there's really no response. And they say something, but it's kind of garbled up. And I go down the back, and I go into 3 the next lap. And I'm
Commit to the
entering the
top.
top again. He's like, pit. I'm like, again, too
Missed your
late.
chance, buddy.
Too late. And I'm wanting to run longer, but I'll listen to him. But it
Yeah.
really was too late. He's like, so down the front, I'm like, do you want me to pit this time? He's like, yes, please, pit, pit. And I'm like, okay. So only 2 laps. But that took us from those 2 seconds, I think, to like 8 behind. So when I came off pit road, I couldn't even see them. There
Really?
was some white cars up there, but both their cars are pretty subtle colors. They weren't real bright. And
It's just fluorescent orange number on the 24. But I
on the
think they're-
sides.
Okay.
You can't see the side.
No, you
I'm
can't.
behind him.
So you come off pit road, right?
And I can't
you
see 'em.
merge, and they were already into 3.
I don't know. Couldn't tell. There was some cars up there. Couldn't tell who it was. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, several laps later, I could see who it was. Then I could see the 24 and the 11. I'm like, oh. So I passed the 11 before he pitted for fuel.
Yeah. He didn't seem like he put up much of a fight, knowing he had to come down.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't listened to his stuff or what, but yeah, I was able to get to his I just got to his inside. I mean, he slid up off of 4, I think, and I got there.
You were laying some heaters down, buddy.
When I rolled off pit road, and you've experienced this, and you've probably experienced this on a racetrack, and it's just right.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's still grip limited. I'm lifting, but I went from full lifting into 1 to a U shape
Yep.
just out of just feel. I wasn't trying to. I just realized I have enough front turn. I have rear grip off the wall, and then when I compress, it still makes the corner. And I'm just doing this U, so I never get to decel. Like, the engine braking never turns on. I don't knock that speed out of the car. It started bottoming out, and it felt good. Like, the blocks are touching, and I'm like, and all I said was, "You nailed the balance." That's what I said on the radio. Like,
Hey.
that
I'll
was
take
my-
care of the rest.
That was my
Phil.
lap 4 update. Was like, you nailed it,
Okay.
and
No.
then the lap times came with it.
That's how that race is. It's not like it's just America. Like dirty, hard work. It's not super flashy, but then you're there at the end and you win the war, right? Like that's what it is. But I wanted to go. I think we all reminisce and we romanticize short track racing and the late nights in the shop and all this stuff. And maybe we go do it and it's like, that wasn't as fun as I remember. But like, I think the road crew guys, sometimes not all the time, but like
Once a year's fine.
that late night, I loved it. That late night in the shop, like, hey, backs against the wall, boys, we're going back to the shop. We're going to build us a race car tonight. Like, take us inside of TrackHouse that night after you guys wreck.
Yeah, but there's a little frustration initially because for like an hour and a half, it was the direction from NASCAR was you have to fix this car that you wrecked. So they're like halfway through that process. And then they come over and they're checking. They're like, oh, we don't like the way some of the clip, like they have triggers on there in the clip, like cut out so they can see if stuff moves, if the clip moves. But they saw something they didn't like. It was like an hour and a half, and so our guys were already like, "Oh
Dang
wait,
it.
we just did all this work.
Yeah, now we're gonna be here
All
till
right.
6.
Bring the gooseneck over. Let's go back to the shop." And Phil Surgeon's like, "We have the opportunity. We're gonna build another one because there's just a lot of unknown. You go out there and you're tight or loose, and you don't know if the clips moved. You won't know till Monday or Tuesday." So when they made that decision, I was in the PRN booth calling the Xfinity race. So they text me and they said, "Come to the shop when you're done." So I did, and then I stayed there till about 10. I mean, it was a chassis and a body and suspension on it when I got there. They're still trying to figure out, like, every clip's a little different, so they have to account for that. They have to shim stuff different for the suspension. So they're still, like, trying to make the decisions of what to bolt on the car when I got there. So I sat in the seat, made sure the brakes were the same, gas right, steering. Yeah, they told me they'd be out there a little after midnight. It was 2:30, and then back at 5:30. So Phil Surgeon, we were just at the shop. He, as we were speaking to everybody, he had everybody that was a part of that, because there's guys at concerts, there's guys at their kids' baseball games and different things, and they just left what they were doing and came to the shop. So he had everybody that came in stand up, and it was a large group. that came in either late Saturday or early Sunday morning.
And we talked about it earlier with that 87 car running, right? You're like James Savali or Gary Putnam, right? Those guys that are usually in the suspension room or doing stuff, fluffing and buffing your cars, now they're working on the 87. So they're like, you guys are already running thin.
Yeah, the fourth car is a big lift, and Justin acknowledges that, but there's a lot of good opportunity to run it.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he rallied too. He got in when Jimmy busted his butt. He got some damage there. But then he rallied for 23rd place finish.
So you say they go back to the shop, like Pharaoh and them, Too Tall, shout out. Go back to the shop at 5:30. What time does the car actually get back to the racetrack? Because the garage doesn't open until 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to.
Sometime right after lunch.
Really?
Because they had to go back through tech. I think we had to fix something, go through again. We got our 2 shots. Yeah, I think it was 12, somewhere right around that time.
Yeah.
2
I
o'clock.
was trying to
sounds
pull back
familiar.
the curtain for the fans a little bit of
Yeah.
like, this is what that day.
Yeah, 5:30 all the
really
way
looks
to
like.
basically 2 o'clock. They were working on it Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's adds to the allure, right? Adds to the event.
Yes.
And it's the first. There's only been 8 people, trucks, Xfinity, or Cup, start from last and win a race.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think David Pearson was the only other driver to do it in Cup.
Bobby Allison's name keeps getting brought up.
Okay.
They keep telling me maybe
pretty
a
good
Richard
company,
Petty,
buddy.
maybe a Richard Petty, but that tells you how long ago it was.
Yeah.
That it not first time in the modern era for Cup. I know
Well,
that.
and, we talk about 600 miles of, like, it took 591 of them to get to the front. But there's also, when you're buried in track position, there's 600 miles of something that happened because you're buried behind them, right? And it's, like we said, with your pit crew, right? Are they the absolute fastest each and every week, like 11 car speed? No, but they're in the race every time. You got veteran guys. Shane leads them. Like, every time you come down pit road, are you going to win the race off pit road? No, but are you going to lose a bunch of spots? No, they keep you in the race, and that's what the Coke 600 is. And you guys are a scrappy bunch, and that's why you got a ring on your finger.
It was
for
so
sure.
cool. It's been so cool to win all my races with that group. Same over the wall group for all 6 wins on the one car. And like you said, Shane, leader, going to be a leader in the future of our pit crew. And the way he carries himself by still going over the wall at his age, okay, no small feat.
Still a stud, though.
Not the youngest guy, but still gets it done. And it's so happy. I looked at him in victory lane, and we just like looked at each other and was like, we both, but at the same time we had this moment and we're like, thank you. We like echoed each other. So that was really cool. And that's he's been a proponent of me coming over to what was Ganassi back in the day at CGR, because we pitted together in the truck series in 2012 at Bobby Dodder's. He was my jackman there. So that tells you he went to Ganassi very shortly after that and has been there. And he would text me over the years until I got there in 18, like, when are you gonna come drive one of these cars? When they had the Xfinity car then, and he had all these dreams, and now it's all came together for 6 wins together.
We talked about it a little bit on the post-race show. What'd you think about that, by the way? Have you had a chance to go back, look at anything?
I've seen some clips. I've not watched it all the way through. I've watched parts of the race. But it's all been on my phone, so small.
That's good. Little added technological piece there. You can watch on your phone. Watch wherever you want to on Prime. But you said it was cool to have Justin up there.
Yeah.
As well. I forgot the question I was going to ask you, but more or less.
Over at the Prime desk.
Yeah, you were talking about it after the race.
What did I think of it?
Yeah, no.
One thing they brought up was that truck ride.
That's what I wanted. I wanted Higgy to. Did you get a chance to pull that yet, Higgy? The 66. I wanted to pull some stuff.
It's just crazy how it's intertwined, how your careers are intertwined. Like you just said, Shane Wilson, right? How you guys work together, Bobby Dodder.
Oh yeah.
And then in this
All right,
66 truck.
Hang on. Oh, hang on. Don't run it yet. So frame this up. So you explain on the post-race show that you and your dad had a realistic conversation. Hey, we've got enough money to run limited late models where?
All season, all year in Florida, basically.
Where
New
was that?
Smyrna, Orlando, Punta Gorda Speedway.
Okay,
kind
so
of the three
then
main tracks.
you looked at that. Okay, we could do that, or we can run half that amount of super races, or we can.
You have to spend a lot more to go super racing. And if you're going to go super racing, then you need to travel. We want to go hit. Then we were like, go to the Snowball, go to Winchester. Like, if you're going to go, if you're going to move up to the next rank, which is how we had always treated short track racing. Once we started winning, we moved up to the next class. And it was going to be a big bill.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw out just an arbitrary number. Let's say that number is $75,000. Right, there might be only five freaking super races or less than that. Like, you can burn up money quickly. You and your dad said, you know what? let's do one truck race. So did you have this connection? Coincidentally enough, Justin Marks was driving this truck before you got there.
So crazy.
Yeah.
So he was part-time or overdriving it?
He had driven it the beginning of the year, and then with GoPro on the truck, and then got out, and this was the first race he was not in the truck anymore.
Okay.
Stacy Compton owned it.
Yeah.
Cole Witt was the other team truck, the 60 Red Bull Fuel Doctor.
Yep. So did you just cold call Stacy? Like, how'd you land on that truck?
Once we made the decision we wanted to maybe try it, Mike Greenwell went to school with my dad. He played for the Boston Red Sox and then did a few truck races after his baseball career. So we knew Mike, and Todd Bodine had always come down ahead of the Homestead race. Him and Janet would drive the motorhome down. He was winning truck championships, winning races, and he would come through Fort Myers, see Mike and Tracy, and then I got to meet him. Mike brought him down to our race shop. We lived 4 miles from Mike, 3 miles, and he signed the hood of my truck and saw the shop and told me I had a Darlington stripe on the side, and, well, why is this truck so torn up? I won last week. He's like, Ralph, I don't fix the truck, and my dad's like, it's just a tire mark, and we had tire marks down. Both sides, rubber noses, plastic rubber, and so just zip tying them back together, cutting pieces off, and just
Florida man stuff.
Yeah, very, and stuff all over the shop, not clean, not organized, and but we knew Todd, so then we called Todd, and Todd introduced us to Bobby Daughter, and then Stacy Compton. We met some people and met Stacy, and
So said, hey.
Me and my uncle drove up middle of the night one night and met Stacy in the morning at the shop, and I sat in the truck, and it was in Justin's seat, and then a couple weeks before IRP.
So you were approved, right? Small enough racetrack, no experience in NASCAR yet.
Best track to get your first truck start on, by the way.
Is this IRP?
Yep.
Yes. Best track. Better than Martinsville, better than Bristol by far.
So run the tape. Here is a clip. I believe that's Justin Lofton in the 6.
Justin Lofton. Ricky Carmichael?
Who's in the 7?
4
there?
is Carmichael.
Timothy Peters?
No. Maybe Herman?
Who?
Caroga? Herman Caroga?
Herman Caroga. Yeah, I believe you're right. So you're racing in pretty good company there, old buddy. And Joey Coulter in the 22.
Yeah.
ARCA Series champ. This is your first run.
First time
The Melon 1.
Yeah.
Burning the right rear off that thing.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you run 10th, right?
Yep. Practice like 30.
Get out of the way, Austin. Or is this Ty?
Austin.
Austin?
I think that's Austin.
Tell Pop's boy to get out of the way. I got this thing hemmed up coming. Bottom feed that night.
working
The top's not coming in.
That's Skinner in the 5? Who's in the 5? No, is that?
That might have been Todd.
Oh, Todd Bodine.
That was Todd. Yeah, so there was a
All right, so
there was a long green flag run to end it, and I had asked them before about green flag pit stops, and they were like, "You won't have to do it. It's IRP. There's always always wrecks." Sure enough, I'd never done a live pit stop before that race. We didn't do any practice or anything, and then they're like, "You're gonna have to do a green flag pit stop in about 10 laps," and I was freaking out in the truck. One, I'm in Justin's seat, so I'm bouncing around.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a LaJoy seat, and it was way too big.
Best in the business.
That's right. And so I got on pit road. They ran me long, and then we just did 2 tires at the end.
Okay.
Oh.
So then you're like, okay, that was all of our money spent.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
What next?
Stacy wanted me in more. Max Gresham was in for some races. Who else? I don't remember who else. They had to start and park some. I think Pocono, and of course, you're trying to just make it by, and then the hauler hits the flag stand at Pocono, trying to park out on the front stretch to unload stuff.
Your hauler did?
Yeah, I drove in the flag stand or something. Hit some pole or flag
I
stand.
think it was flag stand. Yeah.
You keep naming all these names, and I can't help but think of people whose career was on the same trajectory of yours, right? Of like just the things that go right or wrong in a career. Like if it goes one way or the other, at some point in time, you're still driving the Spire motorhome to and from the racetrack. Though I think people see you now, and they forget about what you've sacrificed to get here. Like, what do you think is the biggest crescendo moment?
The hell's
There's a
crescendo?
ton, like the biggest moment where it, like a watershed moment to where it went one way or the other.
What's he coloring? Is he coloring in the dictionary coloring book or
Jesus,
something? Some big
encyclopedia
words
over here.
Hey,
New
man, that's
Jersey
New Jersey
education.
public school.
The thesaurus?
That is New Jersey public school. Sorry, Florida can't keep up.
No, we can't. Definitely deciding to do those next. We did 4 more races. I got, parts different. My uncle and the Melon 1 group that you saw on the side of the truck pitched in more. My dad did sell some land to put some money towards it. and I spent my inheritance. So we've been very fortunate at the farm, but we did spend a lot of money at the beginning. I've been able to pay that back, and some. So that's been really, really nice to do that. I always said I would, but I didn't know if I'd be able to do it through racing, and I was finally able to do that several years later, a lot of years later. But yeah, that was the biggest moment, though. I mean, was definitely getting the 42 Xfinity car. I mean, all the early stuff was mid-pack racing. We were racing together, and just like at Homestead, telling Johnny Davis, buy the tires. I'll have a check. I'll give you a check after the race.
Yeah.
It's in my lock. Like, it's in the hauler. I'll write a check, like paying it out of my own money for the last 2 sets of tires for the Homestead race, because that's where a lot of my people and sponsors that I eventually got outside of my family. Once I finally got some ag-based sponsors, that was all that kind of stuff. But yeah, getting the 42 Xfinity car was the biggest moment.
We were talking about earlier in the show about, I wish I'd have put a little bit more premium getting in a good system with a good group of guys, right? And you name the 42 Xfinity car. I mean, that was Mike Shiplett, and that was just the CGR group as a whole.
Best car in the garage.
And you performed instantly, right? Because you had the tools, and they grew you, and you had good teammates. Who else? Brendan Poole, maybe?
No, he was already gone. I was in his insert.
Okay, hey, thanks,
You're stealing everybody's seats, are you?
Hey, whatever.
Hey, I show up, I
using
drive.
that? Using that? No.
Remember Brian Silas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got in. He was sick at Kentucky in 12. I drove down the straightaways looking under the wheel, and then
Whatever it takes.
Brandon McReynolds used to do that in Bandolero.
Your spotter.
Your spotter.
Your spotter,
by the way.
right,
That's
man,
what
how
I'm
about
about
that?
Franchise.
Muff.
I need to text him.
600 winner.
It was his birthday the other day, actually. But I wanted to hear your opinion on just how valuable it is to surround yourself with the right group.
Yeah, it is. I mean, team-wise, you can't drive a slow car fast. But to get to those teams, I met with Spire Sports and Entertainment at the time in 2012 and met with Newman, and we were talking to him, and just the situation didn't make sense to sign with him. Fast forward, get to know him better through the Xfinity Series, and I'm racing, and David Erickson had worked at Johnny Davis at JDM, and then had left, went to Spire, and then I came in the next year to drive a car there. So he always paid attention and would text Jeff and TJ, hey, look what Chastain did. Hey, look at what Ross did. Hey, so then they get me to drive the bus.
So, yeah, that's for driver management.
Yep. So I just get to know them, and then they get me. They're like, hey, we'll pay you a couple $100, drive the bus. And then they brought up this DC Solar thing. DC Solar, and they said, well, we want you to sign with us. I said, if you get me DC Solar, yes, sir. Yes, Jeff, TJ, David. Yes, whatever. And
I'll drive that bus to.
Once I could see through our friendship that they were trying to help. And then they got the Karpoffs to buy in on me and give me 3 races that year. And that was the difference. I needed people outside of my family in the industry. I needed people in the industry fighting for me. And I think that's what so many people miss the boat on is, yeah, we can do the calls, we can do the conference calls, we can do the presentations. I can sell myself, I can present myself to a group, but you need other people working quietly. And that's just where the relationships are while we're racing, while we're worried about tight and loose. You need people on the business side, and that's where the needle got moved. And then getting Chip Ganassi on board in 21 to put me in the Cup car was highly contributed to Spire and their work and their relationship with Chip.
Right.
To, hey, this is your guy. This is your next guy. Because, of course, I'm going to say it to Chip. Why should he listen to me? But these guys are. They didn't have a real reason to say it other than they thought I should be in the car.
I got a hilarious story, and you could.
We don't have them long.
You can cut this out. Pitbull, right? The DC Solar deal. You go to a party. Pitbull's playing at this DC Solar party the next day. DC Solar gets shut down by
it was 2 days. It was Saturday party, Tuesday shut down.
So then you're like,
I bet you that was a hell of a party.
It was awesome.
But I remember you being like, my career's in jeopardy.
yeah.
My sponsor just got shut down. You get signed with TrackHouse. Like 3 days later, they announce Pitbull is a partner. And you're like, oh, no, I've seen this story before. What's going to happen?
No, it was good. Pitbull never even knew that they got shut down.
Yeah,
Armando
no,
didn't.
I know. It's just the connection.
His check got wired. His money got wired before he flew out to California.
We only got you for one more minute. I could sit here and talk to you all day.
Yeah.
First off, thank you for popping in the show because I know your time is super valuable right now, getting ready to back up that Coke 600 win in Nashville. Have you been on the show before?
No, I've never sat in here with you.
Oh. Well, welcome. We ask all of our guests 3 questions. First question: if you had to pick one car and one racetrack to race at the rest of your life, what do you go with?
Xfinity car at Darlington.
Hey, that year, 42 car, rubbing doors with Harvick. Get out of the way, old man. New guy at the block.
No, I wouldn't. Do I have to be the same driver I was in, or can I be myself now?
Be whoever you want to be, man.
I
That's
want to be
your question.
myself way more now than that day.
You're different.
I think I make it one more lap without crashing.
I forget.
At least get me to a green, white checkered or
Yeah,
something. I was
copy.
still like 30-something to go.
He put it on your door.
Yeah.
It's so classic. And he's never
He's not gonna
let
apologize.
up the fact that I was in the wrong. Like, we had to go by. Timmy Hill was filling in. Somebody got sick. Timmy was out there riding around on old tires, and we had to crowd down. And Kevin never has acknowledged. He's just like,
Yeah, you wrecked me, man. Yeah.
he's in the gas as we're hitting the wall. I hear, rop, 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 rop,
Oh,
rop.
he was trying to get you. Anyways, all right. Question number 2. What is the most embarrassed you've ever been at the racetrack?
Embarrassed?
Yeah. In the car, out of the car?
Couple times. I mean, on track, wrecking Spring Darlington a couple years ago with Larson, wrecking Chase this year at Coda. Off track, at the track though, getting beat up by Brendan Gaughan and Shane as crew chief,
Hey.
Texas.
They beat you up.
Buddy.
Taught you a lesson?
Luckily, no cameras because I don't think it was pretty, but yeah.
Did you deserve it?
Racing. No, didn't even crash. Just racing with them. Texas Xfinity, old track. Yeah, had several run-ins. In the 4-car, I would like be right at the back of the funded cars in an RCR car or a Roush car or a Gibbs car would like have an off day.
Yeah.
Here
It's
they
like,
come.
damn it, here's
Here
Ross.
they come
I
right back
have
in
no
my.
time for
I was
you.
in this little
Yeah,
like
you're like the
pocket.
enforcer.
Was he in an RCR car?
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you drive an RCR Xfinity car, you're contractually obligated to fight at least once a
Well,
year.
Shane
Somewhere in the parking lot.
delivered. I'm sitting on the door of the car, I go to get out, and I hear him, and I'm thinking, all right, they're gonna argue and whatever.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, it's some time had went by when next time my eyes opened, so it was
Oh.
big.
Oh, man.
That was embarrassing. I mean, I don't want to get beat up.
Yeah, but also you learn from that
I
because
did.
you have dished out your fair share of ass
did.
whippings too, my friend.
No.
The cleanest punch on pit road in the last 5
Yep.
years. No doubt.
Have you and Noah good enough?
Yeah. I was with him the next morning in the
Right.
Chevy gym. He was a Chevy then.
Sometimes
and we
somebody
walked
just
in
needs to
and
get punched in the face.
he
Yeah,
like,
man, how's that eye doing? Yeah, it's
no,
pretty good, man.
no, it didn't even. There was no physical repercussions of what happened. It sounded better than it was. I gotta say.
It's because he's got chubby cheeks.
He did.
It's
and
watch.
does.
And we'll leave that at that. If I had the Men in Black pen, right, that zapped all of your memories and you only got to keep one, what do you keep? Racing memories.
Racing memories.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough toss up between the first Cup win and this win, World 600, and then Gateway Truck coming back from the disqualification. So I don't know. I can't pick just one. But give me one of those three. We got DQ'd at Iowa in 19, and then we came back the very next week and won again.
I remember that.
That was to make the playoffs. Switch
Can
points.
I
all that
pick
stuff.
one for you?
Sure.
Coke 600's badass the way you got it done. But the first one, it's like, holy shit.
It's
Ross Chastain.
imposter syndrome happened hard, and I had to look that up. I was telling Justin, like, he's like, "What are you feeling? What's wrong?" And I was like, "I just feel like this isn't me. I'm watching someone else's win celebration at the shop, like on Tuesday that week."
Dang.
He's like, "That's imposter syndrome, buddy."
Yeah.
like you got it.
Well,
I'm like, I got
hey,
it.
we're going to pencil you in and break that down because we can talk about that till we're blue in the face. But nonetheless, I got to let you go. Thank you for stopping by. Ross Chastain on Stacking Pennies. Congratulations, buddy. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, buddy.
Why would you want to do something that you know darn well could kill you?
Dale Earnhardt in car number 2 is a rookie to watch in this race.
Dale Earnhardt is champion.
I never wanted to do anything else.
I admired how dedicated my dad was to racing.
We do it because we don't know any better. This is what we do.
It all comes down to this.
Man, I could have sat there and talked to him all day. If you want to see the full thing, you can go to Stack and Pennies Performance YouTube page. We're just knocking content out for you left and right. We got a couple dogs in the nonsense garage here, so let's go ahead and talk about the dogs of the week.
Let's see it. Let's start with a couple issues. Let's keep you in waiting. Let's start with
Woes
a couple
first.
issues. We got woes first, dogs second, first woe 19 car. Now, pit stall 1. This is tough. So a little bit of a problem with the adjustment. This is a common mistake CJ made here that you see people make in practice, right? And you say practice perfect, right? What you see happen in practice inevitably shows up at the racetrack. He got a little bit behind on his adjustment. When you do that at practice, you run back, you just kind of dump your tires off. They go wherever. At practice, there's no OSS, there's no penalty, there's no fire suits. Nobody says anything. At the track, you do it. You get a little bit behind. You might get a little lazy with your tire.
He didn't get the adjustment. Oh, that was, yep.
Doink, and it just took a bad roll, right? That's just a little bit of, I hate to use this term, it's a little bit of laziness when you get behind.
It's in details. Details.
It's in the details, and then it puts you behind, right?
Yep.
Those are the details that we talk about in a 600-mile race. Like, everybody talks about most overused word in racing, execution, right? Those are the small little details that add up in the execution. This is the 71. This happened coming to me. You might be able to see him in his you might be able to see me in his windshield here. He's like 3 pit stalls away from us, and
looking
he just
for the sign,
totally
a lot
misses
of lights.
There it is. There it goes. You see the 38?
Holy cow! Where was he going?
So Zane was right behind him. So I was ready. I was standing on the wall, and I see him come in, and you kind of are keying off the hood of your car. So Zane disappeared behind him, and then he checked up, and it was like one of those moments like, uh-oh, are these guys going to be wrecking when they get into our pit stall?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you'll see somebody kind of check up and stop, and then
stop.
And they wreck. So it was a split second like, oh, okay, Zane's at our jump line, go pit the car, right? Because Charlotte are tight pit boxes as well, where you can have a little stutter like that or something can catch your eye. Then your car's in your pit stall and you're not out there, and then you're out of position and it's a slow stop. Then you're 5 rows back from where you should have been.
Yeah.
So also, everybody, pit crew guys are so funny because they're like, NASCAR or TV said that the 71 gained 9 stops at 9 spots at the end of that stop. And I'm like, well, yeah, they didn't know. And they're like, well, how didn't they know? I'm like, because they're not sitting in the film room 3 days later watching film knowing what happened. In that moment, it's like, the 71 came off first.
Yeah,
what happened?
They corrected it instantly.
But in that very moment, you're not just
rights.
watching the 71.
I thought he took rights.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, Petey's really laying them out there today.
Because he didn't come out substantially further than everybody else.
No, because he was right in front of the guys that came in and took 4.
So, and then the system on TV just made it +9, which he was. Just didn't take any tires.
Pretty good stop.
But yeah, they corrected it pretty well. So
they rebounded for a top 10.
The only one I didn't see, and this happens a lot at Charlotte. Like I said, the pit boxes are wide and they're narrow, and now 35 plus cars are on the lead lap. Yep. So everybody's pitting at the same time. Let's watch this.
60 around. Okay, then that's the worst. When you have to come around somebody in the first box, you're in the middle box, and somebody behind you comes in front of you, you're stuck. You can't do anything.
So Ty Dillon's going to get a penalty for this.
Oh, dang.
Oh, that's tough. So if you go back a clip, I don't know why. If you go back just a little bit and play it, he's standing out there. It's like he didn't read the car very well. The carrier's standing out there a little bit long.
He's really holding that thing out there, too, like a bullseye. Like, here, hit this with the roof, please.
He is. So he didn't do himself any favors. Yeah, he was standing there like he didn't read the car very well. So the carrier's job is really hard. And if the driver goes, that's why we talk about it, and we're going to talk about it more with the 11 car next, because it's super important where you stop in the pit stall. Mm-hmm. Even more so now than ever, because the carrier, like I said, is carrying 100 pounds of tires, 50 pounds each, let's call it. He's got to set that one down in a window that's about a foot wide, and the tire's a little bit more than that. It's 15. What's it?
So how can it fit in the window?
Barely. You got to just kick it in there. But he's got the jackman who's setting the peg and then jacking the car up, and the changer who gets down and is hitting the lug nut, and he's got to set the tire right in between them, not hit the changer's foot, which is flared out, and not get under the jackman's stroke. So you're like threading the needle. So if the car goes long or short, you're like, oh, you're trying to reach, get out of the way. then you end up flaring that tire out. That's what happened there. So I can't believe the 10 car got called a penalty for that because they have the orange. Did he get called on that? Because they have an orange line there. He must have been over the box the other way.
Yeah, because he could hit that tire, but if he doesn't put his lefts on that orange line in the front corner of the box, he doesn't get a penalty.
And remember that these lines, the orange box and the interference line, all stem from what happened at Charlotte 2 years ago with the 11 and the 22, 2 or 3 years ago. So Charlotte, like we said, been saying it, really tight. This, going back to our execution talk, right? Everybody wants to talk about execution. There is no better just visualization for what execution really means than late in the race, the 24 and the 11 pit at the same exact time. They're both coming down pit road.
Nose to tail for the race for the win.
What's execution? Just do your job? No, it's the fine details. You're coming down for a green flag stop. Most of the time that means take a log off the fire, right? Got to do your stop perfect. You can't get no penalties. You got to roll your tires. You got to do everything you got to do right, and you got to the driver has to maximize their lights.
Well, Denny also sees this opportunity. If I maximize my lights and my guys get a good stop, I could pass the 24 car on pit road.
He oversteps it because he cooks it in the pit box a little bit too long. Where's his pit sign? Right through it by about 5 feet. Just pause it real quick. What that's going to do, right? Everybody had to adjust. Kenneth Purcell, the gas man, if you look, he's about in the middle of the pit box.
Yeah, 4 feet
right?
ahead of his mark.
But the guys holding his gas cans can't really shift down the wall much further because of where the pit box is behind the wall. So go ahead and play it. He's going to have an exchange here.
He's got to take like an extra 2 steps.
And the car's going up before he even gets there. It gives him a bad angle on that plug.
Oh,
See how it has to move? And then you get crossover right away. Now, crossover is when fuel gets in to the vent hose. And it just, if you go from 2 gallons a second, it might go to 1 gallon or a half gallon a second. So now you're just time over distance, time over flow. Denny Hamlin reaches a little bit too much. It looks bad on the gas man. This is what we always say on pit road. He stopped bad in the box. It's not your fault, but it is your problem, right? You can't wait on fuel because then the 24 gaps you.
Yep.
Then you're out of the race anyway. But this is the risk.
And also, when Chris Gale peeks down and sees fuel in the vent hose, that's generally the sign that it's full.
Yeah, but they probably
knew that they weren't going to be full.
You weren't going to be full.
You're putting the minimum amount it takes to get there.
And look, the other thing that goes into this, their pit crew is the fastest pit crew on the day. That puts such a load on the gas man. Gas is like I say, in a world of kickers, a gas man is the kicker
placeholder.
of all that. So it's never exactly the placeholder, right? You never think about the placeholder until he doesn't get the ball right.
Yep.
And that's
laces
the same
out,
thing about
Finkel.
gas. It's laces out. It's so hard. Gassing is so hard. Slinging these 100-pound gas cans, getting them full, getting the right amount of fuel in the car now. You have to get exactly, what the crew chief wants for the balance of the race car. Because if you put 2 gallons too much, 2 gallons too short, the balance is off. Now you've messed up the whole strategy for the race. So super challenging for those guys. But who didn't have any hiccups all day, that's the dogs of the week. We talked about them earlier with Ross, the 1 car. Such a gritty bunch. Rear changer, Ken Pozanga. Matthew Simmons, tire carrier. Front changer, Michael Roberts. Jackman, we talked about him. Shane Wilson. Shane's been around a long time. He's the leader of that team, and Brooke Davenport is the gas man. Those guys, like we said, they're not flashy. They're not trying to be
loud.
best on pit road. They're
and
loud.
They are chirpers.
They're fun. They're probably one of the most hilarious groups in pit crew history. But, man, they get the job done.
Not very good kickballers, but pretty good pit crew guys.
Not great kickballers.
That's enough pit road boats and woes because we have a ton of show left. We're not done yet. Buckle up. We have 3-time Cup champ Joey Logano joining us in the Nonsense Garage again. Who knows who's going to show up next? I don't know. Let's get to him. Oh, buddy, I'm excited about this one. We've been trying to line this up a long time because this fella sitting next to me, he's been coming to the shop here for decades, but it's the first time We have sat here in the Nonsense Garage. Please welcome to the show 3-time Cup Series champion, Joey Logano.
Wow, a round of applause.
Hey.
Wow, guys. I feel so special here.
Man, we spent the last half hour here before we fired up the mics of just how much time we've spent in this shop. What's your favorite it wasn't called the Nonsense. This is the Nonsense Garage. This is like the shroud of secrecy in here that everybody listens to. But we have done the go-kart track. We've done big wheels. We've done just a significant portion of our lives in
hide
this
and
building.
seek was the pitch black hide and seek in the
Yeah,
shop.
that was fun too. I mean, I just remember like it was every day. When you're 16 years old, you have like no responsibilities.
Yeah.
And where are you going? I'll drive 5 minutes up the road. I go to the Joy Shop, and we would just hang. Everyone would end up here every day, and we would just do stupid stuff. We'd ride 4-wheelers. We'd go karting. We had those big wheels with the casters on the back,
and we raced those.
And how many of those did we have?
Probably 10 at some point in time.
Yeah, and we'd line up like structured races through the garage,
Oh,
hitting walls, hitting stuff. Ping pong over at your parents' place. Man, we had a heck of a time.
So when
I miss it.
So when you moved from Atlanta up here, you were 15, right?
Yeah.
Was that post-Roush kind of days still on the back end of that?
Yeah, it was kind of like during that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were a couple year or two older than me, and we just like became buddies, right? And you legitimately lived 8 minutes down the road.
Right.
I wasn't driving, so I had to hitch rides. It was either hitching a ride with Brandon McReynolds or I was hitching a ride with you. And we were going to Extreme Ice Center, which your dad built down there in Indian Trail. So we spent a ton of time. It's cool just to reminisce on a lot of that. But if you like, it's still absurd to me. Just granted, how you're sitting and all the things you've accomplished in your career was the goal. But did you ever legitimately think that like that's your life right now was going to look the way it does?
Yeah. I mean, that was the plan all along, right? Like, I mean, our goals were like to go cup racing and be a champion. Like that was the goal from day one.
Yeah.
So if that's your goal, you have to have that expectation as well on yourself. And there was plenty of expectations on me as well. So yeah, it wasn't surprising. To be honest with you, I thought it took a lot longer than it should have, because I thought when I came in I was gonna, I was sliced bread.
Yeah, the next best thing since.
I was gonna be that guy, and then I wasn't. I was like, maybe we're gonna be back here shooting potato guns off again.
Yeah,
like, what are
just be YouTube
do?
sensations.
Right?
Who knows, right? But like,
I didn't know.
He told me a story yesterday when y'all were at the zoo,
Dude.
And I was like, yeah, that makes. I can see Joey saying that.
I was telling him, I said, the unwarranted amount of confidence and the competitiveness is off the charts. I'm like, we're walking. So Harper and Hudson have been in the same class their whole life. They're in first grade now. We go to end of the year field trip with the school. We're walking around. You got 3 kids. I got 2 kids. It's mayhem. In the middle of the mayhem, it gets calm for 1 second. We're standing at the freaking polar bear exhibit. And Joey just looks over and goes, hey, Skip, I think 3 of us could take that polar bear. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? He goes, yeah, we could take that. And I'm like, dude, there's no chance. He's like, you're a sissy. We could definitely take that thing. I'm like, it's a polar bear, Joe.
Yeah.
He's like,
you know what they say?
Yeah, but it's 3 of us. And like, he was dying on this hill.
I really thought we could.
And I'm
3
like,
big guys, though. Like, not
you.
Not that I'm a big
No, you
guy.
said 3 of us.
Yeah, there was one other dude there.
Daniel Smith, rear changer 19, was the largest of the 3 of us.
Yeah, he'd have been. Well,
you send him out first, like, hey, get a big guy, I'll back you up.
There's one sacrificial person on this whole thing. Like, one person's gonna die. Like, you got to get the bear hooked onto one person.
I hate to tell you, but the first thing you go for is the neck, and you're.
You got a lot of neck. You got a lot of neck, dude.
That's a good point.
That's what I said. I'm like, Joey's.
Who's the fall guy though? Someone's got to be the fall guy in the thing. But I really thought that I was very confident that if it's do or die, we're gonna figure it out.
You think? Do you know the saying? What they say about bears?
If you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly.
I love that saying too. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down.
No. Yep.
And if it's white, good night.
I told you.
You said that there.
Yes, I told you that. I said, dude,
yeah.
It's now there's 2 things. The polar bear has been that one that we were looking at has been in probably in what is it, like captivity for a while. So I don't know if that's a good thing, like it likes people or whatever, or if it's got fresh legs and it has been and it's been waiting for this moment.
I think it's more used to people.
I don't.
It's okay. It's been fed. It's not hungry.
I'm not willing to find out. But I just wanted
lost its edge.
It was funny, and
anyways.
it all made sense after like the All-Star race because people were like, "Man, why is Joey so frustrated?" And I'm like, "No, he's the most competitive person I've ever met. Like whether he loses a game of tic-tac-toe or he sees a wild bear that he's like, I can fight that thing. Like you don't understand. He just lost $1 million.
Yeah.
Like yes, he's irate, but like he was kind of pissed off at this polar bear that we don't even know that we were just walking by at the zoo. So like that's where I don't think people understand.
I've said this numerous times on the show of like I think people don't have a good idea of because you have the biggest shift I believe from your off-track persona and your helmet on persona, right? Of like I will die for this. I think you said that in the Full Speed show. Like this is how committed you have to be. I don't know if I've ever really heard you talk about it too much of like that switch you flip.
Yeah, I just think it's there though. I don't like. I just want to win really bad, or really, I don't want to lose really bad. I think that's really what it is because the pain of loss is far worse than the joy of victory.
It's a John McEnroe statement.
But it's true. At least for me, like I don't know. When I go out there, I'm like I'm here to win, and that's it. There's nothing, and I'm like that in everything I do. Like to Skip's point, like it's like everything. If it's business, I'm like, yep, we're out to kill. We're gonna knock them all out of business. That's that's the goal, right? Like it's to win at all costs. Like that's what we're gonna do. And I don't know, but I mean, I think you can
that's why
have
you're
that
successful, buddy.
You can have that attitude and not be a bad person.
I agree.
Right? Like I think you can still it's okay to be competitive, but I think you have to be able to go home at the end of the day and be like a normal person, like be a good dad, be a good Christian, be a good husband. Like you gotta I also want to be the best at that.
It's a hard balance.
It is a hard balance, but if the goal is just to be the best, period, on everything you do, then it's pretty simple. It actually simplifies it a little bit. Like if you go home, be the best dad you can be at that moment, or the best husband you can be at that moment.
Yeah.
And when you go to work, be the best race car driver at that moment. If it's going to the studio, be the best, make it the best studio in the world, right? Like whatever we can do, let's try to make it the best, or just continue growing it at least with consistent growth.
Amen,
is important.
And that's something that you have. So we've, like we talked about, we've known you since we were all teenagers, but the growth aspect, it's part of being a champion the first time. And then once you taste that winning and being a champion, you're like, oh, I know how to do it. I'm going to do it everywhere in my life. But the second part of that, you haven't always been able to flip that switch. And you've talked about it a lot and it's been documented, but it's been since you've gotten married and since you've been with Brittany that she's taught you to flip that switch better, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when we were kids, we were growing up, we were like racing.
That's it.
Racing. Everything else is second. And
there's nothing else, matter of fact, because we're racing big wheels.
That was it.
We're racing to the car. We're racing downstairs to Darlington. Pin that thought because we're going to get back to it later.
But that was all of life. There was nothing else in our lives than just racing. And that's an unhealthy balance looking back at it. But as kids, we don't know. There was nothing else in our life. There's nothing else important at the time.
There's way worse things we can be doing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least it kept us
somewhat
from doing
straight.
really bad things, right? Like we were pretty straight up kids. We didn't really do anything bad. I didn't feel like outside of donuts.
You didn't even
and
cuss
lots.
for the first 5 years of night. You'd be like,
I know.
frick.
I know.
Oh, frick.
The worst thing I ever did is donuts and parking lots. That was that was the extreme.
Yeah, well, Joe's get a little crazy out there.
A little in trouble. But outside of that, we just raced. And I think the perspective on life helps, right? And you get married, you understand okay, this is a very important thing here. Kids changes your perspective on everything, right? That's
sure.
The most important thing that
it's the best
I've ever had for growth as a human.
Yeah,
is having kids.
So talk about sharing now that experience, not only by yourself, right? Your first championship pre-kid or 18?
Yeah, 18. All we had was Hudson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, but now he's old enough to understand.
He was a baby. Yeah.
And now you got 3. Yeah. Right, and even before that, Charlotte, Roval, tossed the 48, put you back in the playoffs. We said it here on the show. It's you can't give that son of a an ounce of life. He's a cockroach when it comes to like, and leading up to that Vegas, like Paul Wolf, Joey Logano, you said if you watch the Full Speed doc on Netflix, like this is what they live for. This is the pressure they live for. They embrace it. Where everybody else is kind of like weighed down by it, you go win at Phoenix, win your third championship, put yourself in rare air. Then you get to share it with your family, even more so than ever. What was that like?
That was each championship had its own like special thing. Probably the first one and the last one right now like are the most special. Like the first one, like you finally reached the moment. You're in disbelief. I lost it a couple times before that. So you're wondering, like, man, am I ever going to just follow through on this thing? Like, I'm been right there for so many years. Like, when's it going to happen? So that moment was really special. And then this one, you know, I always, the coolest story to me was when we were rolling into Phoenix. You know, you come over the hill and you see the racetrack before you go over the bridge. And I had the kids in the back of the car. Brittany's sitting there beside me. I'm like, okay, when we win the race, I said, all you guys are going to be on the start-finish line. We're going to get the flag together. That's going to be like the coolest thing. And then we're going to ride to victory lane together. All of us are getting in the car. So all 5 of us are going to jump in this race car and we're going to drive it to victory lane. How cool is that going to be? And the kids are like, yeah, you know, in the back seat, everyone's having fun. So, all right, well, we win. I'm like, oh, this is the moment.
Open the
and
minivan
they were there.
door.
We all got the flag and we came back down. It was a really special moment. Emilia did not want to get in the race car. So someone has to stay. So Brittany stayed with Amelia. So I just took the boys around, which is like the coolest moment of the whole night. Really was, you know, you're chugging around the racetrack, doing a couple donuts with your kids in the car, and you're chugging around nice and slow, rolling to victory lane, and they got the flag out the window and they're yelling in there. Like that was the coolest because it's just you, right? The rest of the night is just people everywhere, everything's going on. But that is like the like moment where you have just a second to soak it in together. I'll forever remember that.
Is it elation, right? Is it up, or is it like the culmination of the countless hours you spend from January 15th or whenever you get back after New Year's, locked in to the end of the year to get the one goal you set out to do?
I don't even know if it's that deep. It's just like,
excited.
Man, we did it, right? And it takes the whole year to do it, but the last week is hard. The last week going into a championship race is just more of everything, right? It just the prep is more, the stress is more, the pressure is real, right? You can't hide from that stuff, right? Like I laugh all the time when we go to these media days on championship week. And it's just another race. It's you're just trying to make yourself sleep better.
Yeah.
You know it's not a regular race. You're trying. You're nervous. You're saying that, right? Like we're all a little nervous. Don't get me wrong, but like you have to embrace that moment. And everyone is just so like, it's just another race. We got to act like it's normal. I'm like, that's a bunch of bull crap. Like that's not what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
the biggest race of your life. Who are you kidding? You're racing for a championship in the top level in America of racing. Like, what were you thinking?
Now, does like a little bit of that perception come from doing it? Yes. But did it come from, like you said, you in the Final Four, you're up against guys like Tony, guys like Jeff Gordon, guy like the giant, right? To be the best, you got to beat the best. And I feel like you have beat the best with this generation. You continue to beat the best in this current generation. Do you learn that perception, those little, like, not jabs, but like that mindset to be like, you know what, like, you're not looking at it the right way. I've been here before. I know what to do.
Yeah. Well, anytime you've done it more than once, it helps, right? But I mean, to your point though, I remember the first time I showed up and I'm like, Jesus, Kevin Harvick, there's,
and
Kyle Busch was
Kevin
in there.
Can be cold as ice too.
Oh, my man can play the games. Like he's good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're sitting there like, it's like, and he would just take a couple things and then he would say it and you're like, ooh, like, yeah, that kind of pissed me off a little bit. And he was trying to, like he knew it. Like I know Kevin good enough now that like I know he plays the game, right? And we get along great now, right? But as a competitor, he's not much different than me when it comes to like he's cutthroat. He's there to win and he's gonna play the games.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's fun now that he doesn't race and when we get to kind of BS a little bit, it's kind of funny looking back at a lot of the stuff that we did.
Man, he sat on a podcast just maybe a year or two ago And he said that when he wasn't running at RCR, like all that stuff with Biffle at the Busch race, when he grabs him by the collar, right? All that stuff was just for show because they weren't getting talked about enough.
That just had to be in the news somehow.
I was like, man, that's chess.
When he spun you out at Pocono.
Mm-hmm.
Golly.
Yeah.
I still remember that like it was yesterday, seeing you walk through the little garage tunnel and just how pissed off you were. We locked eyes. And I was like, nope.
Yeah, I'll catch
back
this
to the
week.
truck.
It was almost the best save of all time. I almost straightened that thing out.
The fact of the matter of that, and not a lot of people are going to get this, but that Ronnie Crooks, the shot guy, was the one that came up with.
He was.
She wears the fire suit in the family, and that you were in the middle of the holler and he caught you there and told. Did he catch you there like right when you were walking out? He said, "Remember, she wears the fire suit in the family."
He did say that.
And then you walked out.
I was like, yeah, that's
man.
a good point. I'm going to use that.
You know what?
Watch this.
Yeah. Grant, where's the mic?
One thing Harvick talked about, on the contrary, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, because on the contrary of that, one thing Harvick touched on was, okay, the elation of having kids and the joy of sharing it with them, but also, like we've seen this happen with numerous kids, and you've talked about it before, but your whole childhood and from a boy to a man, right, becoming an adult has been documented on TV. Yeah. So is there stuff now that Hudson gets on YouTube or these guys get on YouTube that they see and you're like, oh man, I hope they don't pull up that clip?
I don't mind if they do, and he hasn't yet, which is good. But when he does, it's fine, because I just say, yeah, it's teachable moment. Hey, Dad's not perfect, right? Like, that's okay. Like, I think a little humility with your children, I think, is good.
For sure.
Right? Like, I don't want my son to look at me like,
perfect.
I'm way up here. I'm perfect. I never make mistakes. Like, I want him to know I'm human, right? Like, and I think that's important for our relationship, because he sees when we go to the racetrack, everybody's wanting to talk to me, like, and it's weird. Yeah, I want him to know that Dad screws up too, and it's okay for you to make mistakes. And I make mistakes every week. Like, but I also want him to be willing to make mistakes. I don't want him to like try to be so perfect that he doesn't take any risks.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I want him to go out there and make mistakes right now, and I kind of want him to see Dad screw up sometimes.
Really?
Because then I think in a way it kind of shows like it's okay. All right. Like, I made a mistake. I screwed up. I'm gonna move on.
And I was trying hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Like, that's fine. I talk to him about that stuff. Like, that's what we try to do every night when he goes to bed. I lay in bed with him and we talk about the best thing, the worst thing, and what'd you learn today? 3 questions every night. Tell me what. Just that's it. And he asked me the same questions. So like, okay, I gotta have something for him too. So
you're like, I wasn't. The first time you did that, you're probably like, man, I wasn't ready for that. I was asking you that. Damn, now I gotta think about my day.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what I learned today. It's a good question to ask at the end of the day.
Before we get too far, I wanted to give you a chance, because we've both been at Penske for over a decade, and Penske in the news a lot last week. I thought it spoke a lot about Roger when he came into town and spoke, but I just wanted to know what you've learned being around Roger and being around Walt and being around the Penske Corp for the last 10 years. Because I think in adversity, like they saw last week, when he shows up at the shop and talks to all of us, it just shows a lot of character and how to handle adversity. And like, how much of you being a champion, how much have you learned from Roger and all that?
A lot. To answer your question, a lot. And last week was hard. It was hard for Roger, and I really felt for him, because he did that interview with Jamie Little, and he was as honest as you can possibly be. Mm-hmm. And that's who Roger is. Roger is built off integrity. And that's why last week watching him was hard. It was hard to watch happen, right? Because like, this happened, and now his name's getting dragged through the mud. Mm-hmm. And I hated watching that, because I know with everything that's in me, that is not who Roger Penske is, right? He's getting bashed, right? And I'm like, gosh, like, what a hard place to be as a leader and somebody that's built his whole business off of integrity. And to me, he's the most honest person I've ever met. And so when all this happens, it's like, like it like kind of, it's just a tough spot. Right. And then he has to make hard decisions, right? Because if that's truly what it's all about, you got to put your money where your mouth is.
Yep.
Right. And what are you going to do about it? Right. And so he had to make some really hard decisions with personnel. And then he came down and talked to us, and what's he do? Apologize to me. Like, why are you apologizing to me? Like,
you didn't do it for one.
He didn't do it, right? And like, so I'm just, he handled it in the most professional Roger Penske way you can ever imagine, right? He did so good at it. I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
Well, what I got out of the meeting
sucks.
that he had with all of us was I wasn't thinking he was going to apologize to all of us. I thought it was going to be like a talking about how it's going to go. He apologized to everybody, and then he was genuinely hurt. Like, I think we all saw a tweet of like the shirt that said "Team Cheaters," and he brought that up, and he was just like genuinely hurt because of the investment he's made in the sport and in the track and everything that came ahead, and that's such an important week for him. But through that, like, I learned how to conduct yourself, and I've learned, I think, going in there as a 23-year-old and now being 35 or 37, however old we are, like, I've learned how to conduct business and how to be a man way substantially more than anything on the racetrack.
Because put yourself in his shoes for a minute, okay? If you bought the racetrack, you have improved the racetrack
and the series
in a lot of different ways, and the series, the museum. When you guys go to Indy, you got it. It's unbelievable. Like the nicest motorsports museum I've ever seen. Total Penske way of doing it. Unbelievable, right? You do all these things to help the sport. New TV deal, like it's IndyCar's on an uptick as well right now. Like, it's all going great, and just to get run into the mud on the first thing. Like, what my natural reaction would be was I would be pissed. I would be angry. I'd be like, I've done all this stuff to help everybody in the sport.
Yeah.
To do all this stuff to like help like the greater good of all the teams, the fans.
And you're gonna bury me for this?
And you're gonna bury me first chance you get.
Yeah.
Ooh. Like, I would be livid. Right?
But he wasn't.
But he took he wasn't. He took it like just gracefully and said, yep, you're right. It's wrong. It's wrong. He owned it.
Made
changes, and you got it, and we're gonna move forward, right? We're gonna keep going, and that's why, like I said, that's why that word integrity is so important to him, because he handled that in the most graceful way, and I just another thing that impressed me this week, right? I mean, people might be saying other things about the man this week, but I look at him and say, gosh, that was one of the most impressive things that I've ever seen, because I know what emotions have to be running through you after doing all that.
Well, after all that went down over the week, the same thing remains to be true before the week started and after the weekend. Roger Penske is a champion. He is a unbelievable person. He's honest. He's got integrity, and you know exactly where he stands for. He's making racing better.
Yeah.
No matter what he touches.
Yep.
So you got to appreciate the man. Also, you can know too, Joey Logano, great dude, hell of a race car driver, 3-time champ. Thank you for coming on Stacking Pennies, buddy.
Thank you. Had fun. That's good times.
Actually, surprisingly enough, there was a couple mean tweets about me, but there's a lot more nice tweets on X for me this week.
I'll tell you this.
Prime Video.
I looked, because I always have to judge how hard my Monday's going to be by some of the dumb shit you say, and I'm your friend, ride or die. So I just have to keep a gauge on it of like how much damage control I'm going to do for my friend this week.
Yeah.
Early in the week after the first one, a lot of hate. After Sunday night, a lot of positive stuff.
Yeah.
People were really into it. You did a really good job, and I watched it back. You made me laugh out loud with the whole, William, what do you eat after a race like this?
A lot of something.
Anything but watermelon. That made me laugh. That was pretty good. But
he didn't laugh.
He didn't. How can you laugh? Can you imagine? I was thinking about it when we had
That's
Logano in here. Can you imagine Joey losing that race and you guys having to have the second Joey on the stage for a post-race interview after losing the 600?
He would have said, "There's no amount of DAT points that we could have paid him to get him on that show.
No chance.
No
chance you get him in there.
Go on the frick home.
I just got beat. I'm not frick coming up there.
And what do you want to talk to me for?
Oh my.
Yeah.
NASCAR chasm breaking down.
Dale's thoughts.
You and Dale drinking beer was hilarious.
First time ever. That's the first time I've actually sat and drank beer with Dale. I'm not gonna take credit for that idea, but that was my idea. The
you know
celebratory post.
You know what wasn't your idea?
What?
judging burnouts because you stole it straight from our show. What are you gonna do? Dogs of the week next?
Yeah.
Actually, hey guys, I got dogs of the week up next when we come back after this quick break from Prime Video.
No, but we're actually just changed the spelling called DOGS.
Yeah, back to regular.
Yeah, we didn't rip it off. It's just imitation's the best form of flattery.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Stacking Prime next week.
Yep.
Penny for thoughts questions from Cassie MCS.
How was sharing a beer with Dale, Carl, and Ross?
That was pretty cool, man. Just to tell you the difference of like how Carl and I think. First segment of the day, we're in the bus watching the race, and I told Scott Carpin, our producer, I'm like, hey man, post-race show, I think no matter who wins, like we just need to get some red Solo cups and just do a toast, like a winner's toast.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. And I was like, Carl, what do you think? He goes, well, let's think about this. He'll be dehydrated. I'm not sure.
Oh, my.
And I'm like, hang on. I want to drink some beer with whoever wins this thing.
Can I tell you a funny story?
And they're
I've
like,
never
we
told
love that idea. What?
I was at Roush when I was a young man, and preseason, had to take piss test. Remember they would come into the shop, take my piss test in the bathroom, and walk Carl Edwards taking piss test next to me.
Did you get his hog out?
We got, well, I didn't look at his wiener, Corey, but peed in a cup, turned around, he peed in a cup, turned around, he looked at mine, he goes, damn, you're more hydrated than me. He was looking at the color of my piss.
He's comparing
That's this man. So that is, I've never shared that with anybody in my life other than everybody on that listens to the podcast now. So I can understand that he's worried about hydration.
Thanks for bringing that story up.
Will Charlotte ever host the championship race? That's from Gressy 4.
This would be a killer finale track.
Cold.
I think.
Not really. Wouldn't be that cold. November.
No.
Charlotte.
What did I say? I think that would be a killer finale track.
It would be. But let's rain on your parade. It's an SMI track. It's probably going to be a NASCAR track.
Yeah, but there seems to be softening up to that. Now,
that's good.
I'm sure that SMI could give up a date for a NASCAR track later in the year and vice versa.
Yeah.
Who knows, right? Playoff race for a playoff race, just swap it within there. I'm sure Marcus, it seems like Marcus and NASCAR's relationships on the up and up, they might be able to have those conversations. Charlotte would be sick. That racetrack, we were going to talk about it earlier in the show. We didn't get time to. Charlotte is, in my opinion, the best intermediate track there is. You said no.
I don't think you can generate passes there. I think that you can defend and run the top like we saw William Byron. It took the 22 car and the 11 coming back on fresh tires and passing them to create an opportunity for the one car to pass 24, even though he was better. I think that it's a great track. To say it's the best might be a reach.
You might not have watched the entirety of the race like I did, but the 11 and the 24 legitimately swapped the lead twice per run. Like the leader would get out, start to get a little loose, right would get hot. Guy in second, his balance has been square. His right sides have been building a little bit more to the right front. He passes him, goes out front a little bit, burns his right rear tire up. It was literally like this. Now, at the end of the, I'm on Twitter, and there's a bunch of CFD engineers on there too. Apparently, they know how physics work. Of just saying, fix this. Fix what? Physics? The fact that a brick going through the air doesn't displace air?
But here's the thing. If you fix one thing, we'll figure out another.
Yeah.
Right? So the more you keep trying to fix, the more we're going to figure something else out. And then you're always going to want to fix stuff. Just enjoy the race. Just enjoy the race. Have a beer.
I mean, dirty air is always going to be dirty. Clean air is always going to be clean.
Ryan Lewis Pylon asks, what ways did you prepare for the broadcast other than 5 years of podcasting?
That certainly helped. And also having a relationship with most of the guys in the garage makes me feel pretty confident up there. Just, talking to Blaney, talking to Hamlin before the race, Justin Marks after the race, and Ross. Like, I've just been growing up with these guys for the last, not even 10 years racing the Cup Series, like 15, 20 with Bubba and Joey and some of these guys. So I feel confident with knowing these guys on a personal level. There's a mutual respect there. So I felt good about that. We had a lot of production calls, which they say we had more people that are familiar with Fox or familiar with NBC in terms of their cadence, said that we had a lot more meetings than usual. But I like that because I didn't know what to expect going in. And Prime put a premium value on coming out of the gate prepared and hot. And I think it showed. I mean, we went through 5 or 6 rehearsals. We had a bunch of pre and post meetings. I actually had a conversation with – I didn't want to talk to too many people because I get in my head too much thinking about how everybody else would do it. but I wanted to make 2 or 3 phone calls to like guys who I respect the way they deliver it and their passion. One you heard last week was Fitzpatrick, a really genuine curious on his approach, and James Hinchcliffe. So Connor Daly, I shot him a text. He connected Hinch and I. We talked on Saturday.
He didn't have much going on.
Yeah, he
Indy 500 weekend.
Hit me up, man. We talked for probably half an hour. It was really cool. He called me during the Wiener race, actually. So he's watching, gave me live updates. That was good. And the thing that he told me that helped me the most was, he said he started his career, I think he's year 4 for him in the booth. He started his career just coming from the hip. You have a couple things that you know to hit on, but most of the time you just let it rip. Call it how you see it. But pre- and post-race stuff, he said he always wanted to know where he was going to land the plane. Know the point you're trying to make and know where you're going to finish it. Because when the lights come on and it's loud and there's people in your ear talking, you're going to talk around and you're eventually going to lose where you're wanting to go.
Absolutely.
But if you know where you're going to land the bird, you can always get back.
Yep.
And that helped me because that's what I was worried about. Because sometimes I get off on tangents and don't land on the same runway I wanted to land on. So knowing where the runway was before I started whatever I was going to answer or say was the most helpful thing.
Well, shout out Hinge, shout out Amazon Prime. Couple more shout outs. Austin Green, ARCA race, big winner. Off Axis Greg, spotting for him.
Yeah.
Corey Heim, this is one of the weeks where they didn't have some freak thing that they lost. They actually won this one, so it goes back and forth. He either wins or something crazy happens and he loses. AJ Allmendinger, punching above your weight class in the Cup Series is not celebrated enough, but not here. Ran 4th, ran the top 5 all day, gains 8 spots in the standings. Had dinner with Andrew Dickinson this past week.
Crew chief on that unit.
Crew chief on the 10 car.
Okay.
The crew chief on the
Trent Owens.
is Trent Owens on the 16. Biggest thing they got going for him, that whole team, they're all pulling the rope in the same direction.
That's what
it cannot be accounted for how important that is. And no Grigson, Michael McDowell, Brad Keselowski, all with great finishes this weekend. So shout out to them.
Somebody else I want to give flowers to because they deserve it. This man, when you look at NASCAR Insights or Racing Insights, he is 32nd on average speed. Ricky Stenhouse is 16th in points plus 17 in the cut line.
Making it happen.
He is not saying what he's starting with, but my man is cooking up the chicken salad right now. Like qualifying bad and just putting together days. He's ahead of everybody from 16th and below, actually.
Yes, a lot of good cars.
A lot of good cars. So let's see.
Cars that have won races.
Yeah.
He's ahead of cars that have won races.
Yep. So he and that 47 single car team, it couldn't be harder time in the sport to be a single car team right now.
Yes.
Shout out Mike Kelly. Shout out Ricky Stenhouse Jr., his experience and his maturity and all the things that come along with being a good race car driver are showing up because he's got that thing in the playoffs. I'd be worried half the regular season left. You're going to get some guys outside the cut line, win a race. But right now, at this point of the year, that 47, he's an attaboy.
Attaboy. Let's go.
And you guys need an attaboy for sticking with us for however many episodes we've done this year and also how many years we've been doing this. We're going to keep showing up and giving you stuff every week, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, Tubi, SiriusXM, wherever you find things. We'll be here. Instagram @_Stacking Pennies or on YouTube, Stacking Pennies Performance. Each and every week. Like, download, share, rate, review, all the things. Appreciate y'all. Keep stacking pennies. Each and every day, Corey the Joy alongside Ryan Flores here. Talk to you later in the week on Spare Change. Going to Nashville, guys. Buckle up.
Bye.